Hi. Hi, it's Raquel. Welcome back to Recovery to Wellness, where survivors radiate badassery. Where'd my water go? It's over here, sorry. Hi. So it is currently March 26th, 2024. Let me double check. Yeah, March 26th, 2024, and we're in the library, and I have you balancing on a towel and a marker, marker case. So that is what we're balancing on because I didn't bring my tripod, and I am filming a video book review. This time I'm doing the video book review without having typed and posted the full-on book exploration station, which goes on my WordPress blog. So I haven't actually done that yet. I've handwritten all of the notes, which I just have to type later. So all of the notes are in here, and so because of that, I don't have everything figured out, so it's not fully fleshed out, established in a sense. So just FYI, in case this video is a little different than a few of my other ones have been, that would be why. So I am reviewing this book. This is Look Out for the Little Guy by Scott Lang, but probably not. It's I don't know. It's one of those. It's okay. So it's Scott Lang, but really Rob Kuttner, and it's a 2023 book. Look Out for the Little Guy. Got it at the library, and it has 213 pages, and plus like a couple pages for the acknowledgement section, but not included. I rate this book, I'd say a 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5 stars. It is by like Scott Lang, or at least it's like shown as that, and it's supposed to be, it's sort of like a fictional memoir in a sense, and like science fiction, because it's part of, if you don't know, Scott Lang is Antman, the actor is Paul Rudd, so it's like an Antman book pretty much. So an Antman book within the Marvel Cinematic Universe from how we understand it, but also like conveyed as though Scott Lang had wrote it, sort of thing. So it's a sort of world in within worlds kind of book. I don't understand how, like, I've seen books like that, like I've seen like Star Wars books, and like I've seen like other like Marvel books and stuff out there. I don't know what, like, how the copyright works with that. Like, that's genuinely something I'm probably interested in learning about, just because, like, I don't know, like, because I know, like, with fan fiction, you can write fan fiction and post it online, but you can't, like, make money off of it. So I don't understand why there's certain things that some people can write books about it and then they can make money off of it, but then, like, things like fan fiction just, like, don't do that, or I don't really understand all the copyright stuff. But so that was it was interesting. It was so jumping into kind of like what I thought about the book. So it pretty much details between like going from like Antman the movie to all the way through to Endgame, Avengers Endgame, and I really liked that because it also adds like other characters, like their sort of perspectives in a sense, and their sort of commentary, with Scott being our main guy. It goes through like several like little essays in a sense, like each chapter is like a different little essay. I would have liked to have seen like some sort of chapter index, or like if not an index, then just like this chapter is this title and it's, you know, page whatever, and then this chapter is another title, whatever chapter title, and then that page, and like that. I think something like that would have, for me at least, would have been more interesting and better able to kind of grapple with it and grasp it a little bit better. I do think Rob Kuttner did a fantastic job, like, just like, I don't even know who Rob Kuttner is, so who knows, maybe he's part of like Marvel already, but he did a really good job like capturing Scott's like language and his like sort of characterization and stuff. I think that was really, really great, really well written in that sense. It is Scott Lang, so it's like, you know, very Scott Lang-ish in a sense. If you don't really like the Ant-Man movies, then you're probably not going to want to read this book. But it's also like a really great recap of like what happens in the movies and stuff. I honestly, Ant-Man is not like my all-time favorite movie kind of thing, but I did appreciate, like, I really liked having the sort of written context of, like, what happened in the movies, like, in, like, a readable book format. That was really beneficial for me. It was really interesting, and it kind of got me to kind of glimpse back into the MCU of what I've missed, having not gone back to rewatch any of the videos or not gone back to, you know, finish writing film reviews for my blog, in a sense, for them and such, because I really do like Marvel a lot, but a lot of my anxiety and a lot of avoidance and a lot of perfectionism has come out with it a lot in the last, probably since the pandemic, really. So, like, I haven't seen, like, the newest, I didn't see the Black Widow movie, I haven't seen the newest Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I haven't seen any of the Loki series, except for, like, the first episode of season 1, and, like, I'm a huge Loki fan, and, like, Iron Man, but, like, I haven't just watched it and stuff, and I rewatched, like, Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and, like, another one. But then I got, like, stuck on Thor. I watched it, but I didn't, like, finish the review of it because it was really long. So I don't know. I have to go back into that. But I feel like having read this book, it kind of got me back into a glimpse of it. And it kind of, you know, I looked at a couple scenes. I looked at Natasha Romanoff's, like, death scene from Endgame and stuff. And, like, that was really sad. And, like, just kind of, like, I don't know, it got me to glimpse back into the MCU and remind me of what I'm missing and, like, really want to, like, get back into, and, like, because it is something that I really do enjoy, and it's something that I have a passion for and I have interest for, and I just have to figure out how to break it down into more doable steps and just kind of, you know, take back my time and take back my passions, in a sense. So, yeah. So otherwise, so this book definitely details, like, all this kind of stuff between Antman and Endgame, and it also, like, there's a couple, like, chapters where he's talking directly to his daughter Cassie, or he's talking about Hope, who is his girlfriend, which, honestly, the couple chapters that had Hope's perspective in it, so much frustration for me. Like, I like, honestly couldn't. I was like, because, like, especially how it's, like, written in the book and canon in the movies as well, is that, like, when Scott went and did the Germany sort of Civil War thing, and, like, fought against some of the other Avengers, because the whole Geneva Accord, which I honestly never understood, and I wish that had been written about, but it wasn't. But I mean, that's less Ant-Man than it is like Captain America kind of thing. So unfortunately, it didn't cover that, which is unfortunate, because I would have liked to, like, read and understand that, but because I never really got it, like, it wasn't, like, a huge thing. I mean, I'm stuck in, like, 2012, like, original Avengers, and that, like, that's it. Like, I include things from other movies that happened since then, but predominantly I'm, like, 2012. Like, nothing else happened after that. That's because I got into the MCU when I was in summer of 2014, so it's been 10 years. So yeah, but I was late. I was a latecomer. Actually, I got into even the MCU in general, Loki especially, but I got into it from watching, like, clips of the movies online, and then reading fan fiction, and then going into the movies to try to find what movie was where Avengers happened, in a sense. So that's my little thing. So I get into things in a really roundabout fashion, which is really interesting, I think, at least. And so it didn't go into the Accords very much. It talked about how, you know, when Ant-Man went and did the Accords, and then, you know, they lost, and then they were exiled, sort of, or went to house arrest kind of thing, right? Like, it talks about how Hope, like, pretty much completely cut contact with him and just pretty much stonewalled him for 2 years, which is, like, so wild. Like, so, like, like, I don't, like, how could you do that? Like, you just completely, like, no communication skills, no, like, healthy boundaries, no, like, limitations, like nothing. It was just, like, ghosting and then stonewalling and, like, manipulating and gaslighting, and, like, so I really hated her, like, inclusion in the book. I really, really, really disliked it. I mean, it took a while before I got, like, okay, that was a humanizing point, and I mentioned it in the review itself. But otherwise, I was predominantly, like, putting herself as the victim, and I was like, I'm so over it. Like, I was just, like, so not into it. Like, I was like, go away, Hope, I don't care. Also, I dinged it. I dinged the book for being too heterosexual. But, like, I feel like the MCU overall, like, at least from the cinematic universe, like, it's always very, like, woman and male together, which, I don't know, maybe it's just me being a gay ace and being, like, representation, I need it kind of thing, but, like, it's really kind of frustrating, because it's always, like, putting a male character and a female character, like, together in a romantic relationship, and never, like, explored, like, other types of, either gender, like, identity or, like, sexuality and stuff, which is really kind of frustrating. I think even, like, Loki, like, I heard from, like, the TV show, the first season at least, like, they did that. I mean, it technically is with himself, but as his female version of himself in a sense, but I don't know. It's just really annoying, because it's like, I get it, but, like, can we, like, not? You know, can we have some other types? Because I know, at least for me, I'm a big Frost Iron fan, so I ship Loki, Laufey's son, and Tony Stark together. So a lot of bisexuality I write about, and even, like, House fanfiction, I do, like, House and Wilson, in, like, an established, like, gay relationship kind of thing. But that's just me. So that was something that kind of, like, I was, like, dinged for being too heterosexual. Too, like, generic, in a sense. Other things that let me see. So the other thing about this book is that I actually... I'm returning it late, so the reason I'm really trying to push myself to do this kind of out of order and do this kind of differently than how I've done a couple of the other video book reviews is because I really want to return this book today. And I really, really, really want to just pay off the fines and then, like, be able to no longer be delinquent status and just be able to kind of maybe... I might try to take out a couple, like, time management books after this if I can. So I'm trying to get this done before 7:45, which it's currently 7:25. So overall doing okay with time, but I just really want to make sure that I can get that done, so because that's important to me. So I actually haven't written the summary or anything again for this review, but overall I do recommend this book. It is, like, if you want to just get back into the MCU or it's been a while, I really do wish it would have been able to cover the newest Antman the newest Antman movie that came out, but I understand that it didn't, probably because of timing and stuff like that. But if you want to, like, get a crash course, kind of like a small crash course into the MCU and stuff, like, this would be a really good book to, like, kind of dabble in it and kind of get the idea of the characters and the characterization of them and their sort of faults and flaws and redeeming qualities as well. The book, as it's called, Look Out for the Little Guy, is all about kind of, like, the different lessons that Scott takes upon his adventures of being Ant-Man, and also, like, his his backstory with that and how he became what he did, and kind of, like, it dabbles into some thought reframes and stuff too, which is interesting in a psychological standpoint. And then as well as dabbling into the psychology of the hero dynamic, right? And understanding, like, how, like, even heroes have their faults in a sense, and how also that can be applied. Like, heroes aren't just the people who wear capes or the people who put on an Ant-Man suit and, like, you know, talk to, like, communicate with ants and such, but, like, it's also, like, about how, you know, looking out for people who are maybe a little bit more quiet or a little more you know, overlooked or even you know, abused in power and stuff like that, and, like, looking out for your fellow human, and then also, like, just noticing them and, like, you know, like, letting them know that you notice them, but, like, it doesn't, there was one part that it's like, you don't have to get a megaphone and be like, I honor thee kind of thing, but, like, you know, just, like, giving them a smile or just doing something nice or doing something compassionate and, like, really being, like, human to human kind of thing. And I think that's a really valuable lesson. I'm sure maybe this book is kind of geared more towards children, but I think it's a great lesson. And I also really liked the conversation on time management, and, well, I guess time management and such, but I believe I called it I think it's the Geneva Accords. Because I think Geneva Convention is, like, an actual real life thing. So maybe Geneva Accords, I don't know. But some of the things that I really liked, I got like a bunch of like a few different like art kind of ideas out of it. Towards like the end of the book, I got an idea for like drawing like a trophy, and I want to do like all of my like life accomplishments up until this point in time, because I think a lot of the time I kind of just operate like in a vacuum, and I don't like always look at all of my life and like all the things I've gone through and like all the different accomplishments I have made and accrued up until this point, and then all the things I have yet to do in the future. I also really liked the topic about like just time in general, and how, like there was a quote that I was just writing about where it's like, oh yeah, so I'll read it from here. But that's the tricky part. Pretty soon he's talking to Cassie in specifically, but pretty soon you're going to find out that you actually may not have all that life to yourself, so having all this life ahead of you. Jobs will gobble up your precious time, people will need you, circumstances will constrain you. Enemies, personal, institutional, biological, may arise out of nowhere to suck whatever time dregs are left. So right now, while you still have some nominal say in where your life goes from here, fight for every scrap of it. And just kind of talking also about how there really is nothing but the present and stuff too. We don't know what's going to happen next, and we can't change what happened already. There's a really good C.S. Lewis quote that I like that says, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And I think that's just a valuable quote, and like I really liked this idea on time. Like time is something that I'm really starting to develop more of a relationship with, and a lot more of a improved relationship with, and something that I am starting to value more, and really try to look at the ways I'm using my time and look at the things I'm doing with my time. Because I mean, like, and this has been a few years in the making, I'd say since the pandemic especially, but even before that, I've always been a really big like time waster, like avoider and all of that. Like even in my childhood, I always like avoidance is like my most ingrained behavioral tactic. And so I think I've spent a lot of time wasting time, and like especially on the internet, I'm finding, because it's like, because right now I'm in a transitionary period with time and the value of time, but like in the past, it's like I get onto the internet and fall down other people's rabbit holes of like struggles and stuff, and because I'm anxious about whatever task I have to do at the moment, in a sense. And like if I want to read a book, but I'm like, oh, but like for instance, like in the last week or so, in the last week or when I was reading this book, it was sort of like I could be like, okay, I could go read a book right now, or I could just look up so and so and see how they're doing and blah blah, and then 25, 30 minutes goes by, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So like I have, and I think especially because I'm now working 40 hours a week, like as my, like that's my schedule in a sense. And it's weird because it feels like I've been doing it for years, but I really have only been doing it for about 2.5 months, almost 3 months or so. And so it's kind of like weird in that sense. And like time is a strange concept in general for me, but it's something that I'm slowly learning and accepting that like I don't have it all figured out right now, and I'm in the process and the transition of figuring it out and learning from it, and just taking every experience as learning experience. And like, so for instance, for me, I tend to like, when I eat meals, I always like have my phone and I'm always like watching YouTube or something. And like lately, this past week, I've been kind of grabbing, putting my phone on the charger up in my room, and then going down to the kitchen, and then like listening to music while I work on this book review, like handwriting it and such. And like even just something small like that has been super impactful, and like getting myself more involved in books and such has been super impactful. Like I'm also kind of almost like a little nervous, because I'm like, oh well, once I return this book, I won't have it, and like I won't have you know, that review to be finishing or working on as I'm going about my life and my sort of day-to-day experiences. But it's not entirely true, because I do have another book a workbook that I haven't touched the review for at all. So I could totally jump into that one. There's another book I have to read. Then there's going to be books I actually do read again, and then I'll have to do reviews for them. So it's almost like an anxiety that's not really factually based. And I also find that, like, so much talking. I also find that it's really just like, it's just so like spending my time with books and like things offline have been so much more rewarding in a sense. And it's not that like internet, like I do still do internet stuff, and like lately in the last couple months it's been like I'm finding, because I'm not having my avoidance come out of like wasting my time like during the day, like if I'm working, especially like I work 8.5 hours, so then I come home and then it's like, you know, it's kind of like 10-12 hours, you know, 10 hours or so of a day with being limited on my phone, so that when I have noticed, so okay, two thoughts. But one thing I've noticed is that because I don't do it during the day, at like 10 o'clock at night when I'm trying to fall asleep, I scroll endlessly for like an hour or two. And it's like, then I go to sleep late, and then it messes up the whole day, and the whole thing. The second thing is that something I've noticed recently is that if I read a book, right, and then I go and like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna watch YouTube for like, you know, a little bit. If I watch YouTube for maybe like 20 minutes, it's okay. But then I hit this like threshold that anytime after that 20 minutes, it sort of like undoes all the time that I spent reading. Like the sort of different mind state of like having read a book versus having fallen down a YouTube rabbit hole is very different. So that is just also something that I've been noticing more. Just kind of practicing some of that mindfulness, some of that like just noticing, hey, how am I doing right now? Like, what am I thinking about? What am I feeling? And I'm not going to get it right every time. Like, that's definitely not at all. It's not. It's very imperfect, and it's all learning experiences. And that's something that I've been really finding and addressing in my life lately. And I think this book, getting back to the book, like, I just really enjoyed the you know, the concepts on time, and the concepts of like, you know, you don't know how much time you have, and, you know, just try to be, you know, I mean, I guess it's a little cliche, but be the best person that you can be. Look out for other people, and know that you're not alone too, that everybody is going through something, whether or not they say it or not. Like, there was actually a really good quote that I liked that about how sometimes, you know, the people you really look up to, the really strong people in a sense, like, they could just be your rocks, right? They might internally be merely pebbles, and it's like, you just don't really know. And it's not to be like, be kind and never like accept criticism, because that's definitely not it either. But just kind of like be compassionate, look out for one another, and like, you know, look out for that little guy, look out for the person who needs a voice and who hasn't found it just yet. Because just because you haven't found your voice yet doesn't mean that you never will. It doesn't mean that there's not a place for you to place that voice, in a sense. I'm gonna start wrapping up this video. I think we've heard me chat and globber for almost long enough. Yeah. So what did I learn from this book? Like, again, like on my blog review, it'll be a huge, you know, book exploration station thing. But I think it was a really good book. Again, 4 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it if you're a Marvel fan, especially, but even if you're just like trying to get into Marvel and stuff and you don't really know where to begin, and you're interested in like Scott Lang and everything and Antman, then feel free to jump into this book. There were some like plot confusions I had, because again, I don't really, Antman movies are not ones that I've watched like 20 times. Like, I've only watched it like once or twice. So some of the details I was like, did that happen in the movie? I don't remember that happening. Did this happen in the movie? I don't remember that happening. So there's, you know, things like that. But for me at least. And then some of my other favorite quotes, let me see if I can find any. Some of it made me laugh, some of it made me cry, because I was like, oh no. Yep, the Pebbles one, I really liked that quote. Some of it made me think of online time and stuff too, of like, you know, how especially like sometimes like, you know, people who get really big forget about how small they started off as, in the sense of like, you know, like online, if you have like 1 million views compared to like when you only accrued like 100 views or 20 views. Like, I don't know, there's an interesting concept about that as well. Some of it was sad because it like reminded me of Endgame and like the things that happened in that. But overall, I think it was a really positive read. There were things that made me smile. There were things that made me kind of tear up. Like some of it too, I think was good because it was like it reminded me. I have a whole section on the blog review where it'll be what was I thinking of? Oh, Creative Cove thing, Critical Corner, all of that will be in the review. Another thing that I wanted to mention, which is actually what this flag is in there, is, so this quote, "The key to a redo is do. You rebuild your life by embracing these 3 facts. You are so much more than who you were, especially as you get further away from what shaped you in the past. You aren't limited by who you are, or at least the way others describe you. And you are what you can do. To rebuild is to take what you know how to do and figure out how to do it differently. How to use it to take your life in a new direction, ultimately a better one." And that was Lane Kuttner, page 26, 2023. So I think that's pretty much all I got for this video book review. I know it was a bit longer and stuff. I imagine I would operate on the function that all of the books that I actually really enjoy, especially if they're a little bit longer and things and I have a lot to say about them, which frankly, let's be honest, if you don't know me, I have a lot to say about a lot of things. So if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. If there's a book that you want me to read, totally recommend anything. Like, I am so down for that. I'd say as long as, if it's anything like mental health related, please give me trigger warnings or have like a review or something somewhere that tells me the trigger warnings, just so that I'm keeping myself safe and yours being safe and all that kind of stuff. Trigger warnings for this book, I would say there really weren't any, other than like, you know, mentions of death and stuff like that, like character death and things like that. But again, I'll review anything in the post-editing part, and then the blog post and all of the stuff. Anywho, yes, thank you so much for watching. As always, stay safe. Much love and light to you. Thanks so much, and let me know if you wind up reading this book, what you think of it. We could talk about it in the comments. We could do like a book club in the comments. That'd be fun. Anywho, thank you so much. I will be getting more videos out soon, and yeah, we're just gonna bask in the moment until this clip ends, which it is 7:42. We made it. Hooray, we made it. So I'm gonna go return this, and I have to go back to my car to grab my wallet to pay the fines. Thank you so much. Bye. Also, last thing I'll say, these are all the flags. There were like 64 flags, by the way. There were a couple things I skipped, but mainly 64 flags was a lot. So also, just to reiterate, if I actually really like the book, it's going to be a long review.
Guiding like a lighthouse to... I will leave the light on.